you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So glad you're here. I'm Jimmy. We're making it noisy in the background. Actually, we're making it work, but I don't know what that noise is. Sounds like a helicopter somewhere. You hear it? We're not here for that. We're here for a day in the shop. We got a busy parking lot, as you might know. We got a lot of cars around. I'm not sure what's going on with half of them. I got two pretty big jobs I got to do. And I don't even know where the Jeep I was working on went. Someone took it off the rack. It was here where this Mustang is, but we'll figure it out. I'll put some clips in. At least you'll know what's going on before I do. From the car's memory. That might look familiar to you, doesn't it? Oh, the old 2015 Prius. Backing up, the steering gets hard sometimes. So now you have some idea what's going on today. I gotta finish getting the shop open up so we can find out. You know how it is. We try to learn a thing or two, and we try to have a little bit of fun. The comments are getting nice and spicy a little bit here. I don't know if you guys picked up on some of the funny comments. Some of them try to be nasty, but they're not really good at it, so it's just funny. Get in that comment section and keep it rolling. I like it. It's activity for the channel. It helps the YouTube algo, Mr. Rhythm if you don't know who he is, algo if you're friends. Things happen when you get in the comments. Click like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. YouTube likes it and promotes the video a little bit more, so I appreciate that. Get in that comment section, get it going. Let's get the shop open up, get in there and get started. Stay tuned. Alright guys, the Cadillac DTS from yesterday, we put the TPMS sensors in. I used the Autel tool to program them to mimic the sensors that went bad in the car, using the sensor IDs from the car's memory. Put it into the new sensors and it should work now. So I'm going to use my Ansel DS300 to verify codes, look at some TPMS data. It's in one of the door modules, the TPMS data, believe it or not. So we'll take a look at that and we'll make sure all four sensors are reading air pressure. And then one thing, my oil life 100%. I reset that after doing the oil change. I'm not getting the tire pressure system message anymore, so that's good, but I still want to look at it in the scan tool just to verify my data. Previous codes in history, last test passed, since cleared passed. So those sensors are working, but I am still going to go clear DTCs. And then I'm going to go into data and we're going to look at the tire pressures in the scan tool to see what the tire pressure sensor system sees. Remote door lock receiver. We'll go into that. We'll go read data stream. Tire pressure data. Left front. Let's go left front tire pressure. Left rear tire pressure. Right front tire pressure. There's a whole bunch of different data PIDs. You can look at temperature, all kinds of things, but I just want to see this. I want to see 4 tire pressure sensor datas. Now I can combine them. Yeah, see what it looks like on a graphing. In graphing mode, that's the tire pressure. Now if I go drive this car, slowly that pressure will come up a pound or two as the tires warm up. I'm really starting to like the scan tool. I don't know if I said that yet, but all right, this thing's ready for a road test. We got some more parts coming for it. We got to do that. We're going to do the parking position sensor, take a look at the wiring while we're in there, but that part may not be here till the end of the week. We're going to come back to it once that part arrives, and if he wants to fix the oil leaks, we'll do those. I think I got an Audi to look at next, another parking position thing, so we'll check it next. All right, we're going to work on this Audi Q7 next. This might look familiar. I think I changed the oil on it like a month ago or a couple weeks ago or something, but they smashed into a curb. Looks like they might have bent something. See how that tire's angled in? This one's not angled out. So that tells me they hit something and bent something. It's here for an alignment. Hit a curve and alignment is off. The sway bar malfunction alert is on. The tire light is on. There's an airbag light on, a couple other things. We're going to use the DS300 on this Audi and see what kind of codes we got first. Then I'll get it on the alignment rack. I think it's easier to put on the alignment rack than it is to set up my rack for it. See how this tool works on an Audi. Oh, there it is. Boom. It may want key on engine off. Audi computers aren't smart enough to give you information with the engine running. Sorry, Audi fans. It's going to tell me what kind of car we have. I'm going to go ahead and do a health report, check all the modules in the car. It'll take a minute, I'm guessing. Let's look at the time right now. It says 1:42 p.m. because I haven't corrected it yet. And we'll come back when it's done, see how long it took. So, it took about 2.5 minutes. We've got oil pressure regulation valve error, data bus error, multi-axis acceleration module A correlation, steering angle module, steering angle sensor module correlation, all probably related to the accident. These two maybe not. Climate control, the airbag, multi-collision brake, no function active, indicator lamp for front passenger airbag. A lot of codes basically. 16 codes. Accept and continue. I'm going back. Alright, I'm going to send a report. My other scanners, a lot of them, you have to go back out to the main page. The way this is working, that's how it should work. I can email it. Now they have all that data up front. I can clear codes and do my diagnosis and not have to be concerned with remembering all the codes. I'll sometimes write them down if there's critical codes I need to look at. 2 or 3 codes usually steer you in the direction you want to go, and a lot of other codes could be redundant because of those main or primary codes. This one we know we had an accident, so a lot of those codes are from that. So I'm just going to clear out the codes right here. We'll go back, we'll go clear DTCs. Yes, it may tell me to shut the engine off, I'm not sure. And then I'm going to get on the alignment rack. We're going to see what's bent. I just bumped into a curb. Well, we know with the wheel straight that this wheel's straight with the steering wheel straight, but this one is pointed way in. You look at the tie rod in here, see that bend? I'm not sure if that shows up, but this one's not like that. Matter of fact, with my flashlight, now you can see it. So, inner and outer tie rod end for sure. And the other problem is going to be figuring out what else might be bent, because this thing could bend knuckles, and strut casings tend to bend on vehicles a lot. That's one of the softer components in the vehicle, because it's sheet metal. I'm going to measure the distance from this center of this bolt to the center of this one. Do the same thing over here and see if they agree. Measure a few things with a tape measure, and we'll see if we can make sure of everything that's bent or not bent, and try to get this car going straight. I would imagine these Audi parts might be pricey. If they're available from the aftermarket, maybe you can save a little money, but I would go OEM myself. Let's get the tape measure. Probably going to be a little glare, I apologize with the sun coming in the bay here, but take some measurements and we'll see where we're at. This is 19 and an eighth. 19 and 3/8, almost 19 and a half. So that lower arm is bent a tiny bit, not terribly, but it is bent a little. There are a few other things we can measure, like the distance on this one. See if this could be bent down. You know what I could do is an alignment and unthread this enough so that the toe end's correct, and then it'll tell me if I have any SAI issues and other things, because the alignment machine won't know if this is bent or not. It'll only know what the total toe is, but it will know if the wheel is set back and the steering axis inclination is different left to right and that kind of thing. Let's see if they want to investigate that. Could even have a bent axle. Let's jack it up and spin it. That looks pretty good. I don't see any bends on it. And the brakes are dragging a little bit. I wonder if there's something bent with that. That's very strange how much drag there is. See if this wheel does that. Oh, it's on the ground a little bit. And this one turns easier. the distance on the sway bar. Probably got to set it back for that, but I want to check the distance of the sway bar mount down to this lower arm bolt. That's pretty much a straight line, and the distance from here to that bolt, you can eyeball things like that. Let's see if they look. They do look about the same. The sway bar is just in front of this arm. Same thing over here. Sway bar is just in front of that arm, so I don't think this arm's bent. I do see a little tweak in this and these two parts, and that's probably going to be it. I'm going to put a straight edge on the strut housing a little bit and see if we can spot any other problems. I'll probably have to take this wheel off. The brakes feel weird. I don't see anywhere where the hub could be bent too. Maybe we'll take a look for that. I want you guys to watch the wheel, see if you see the wheel do this. I think I see it doing that actually. Yeah, see the wheel comes in right here. Then it goes back out. So it's got a bent wheel too. Alright, we got a little list. Tires no good. It's just about touching the inspection bar, starting to dry rot a little bit, but tires don't last like they used to. I was watching a video guy with tires that are like 70 years old and they still weren't dry rotted, but these tires are like 6 years old and they're dry rotted. Anyway, they're probably made in like India or something like that. Let's see. Not that the location matters as much as they just don't have the rubber quality they used to. Ugh, I can't really hardly turn that. Ugh. I think the hub's bent so bad it's pushing on the pads when that rotor tries to move. It has to move the pads to get past it. I don't know why I'm obsessed with finding out where these tires are made, but made in Portugal. Okay, wheel, hub, rear arm, inner and outer tie rod out. I'm gonna straighten this tire out just by eye for now while they work on parts and stuff. Be easier to move it around. Can't go too far because there's only so many threads. We'll at least get it reasonably straight. Now move it around on the property. I'm assuming it's gonna be out in the grass a while. We only have to deal with the bent hub and wheel, but the toe will be good. Another thing we can do is measure from about the tire's center line to the wheel well. That ridge on the tire is at 4 inches. In the front, 3.5. Not scientific, but
Science.
It's a good idea. This is just a little less than 3.5. Yeah, just about an 1/8 inch difference. Not scientific, but it gives you an idea that that curved arm's causing a problem. We got some work to do on this 2012 Jeep Compass from yesterday. Valve cover gasket, 4 tires I think, and maybe wipers. I gotta check my list. Bend these up a little bit to hold that flimsy hood protector up. It's to keep the engine heat from the paint, I'm supposing, or maybe it's fire retardant if this Jeep engine catches on fire. I don't know. Maybe it's a heat barrier to keep heat in the engine compartment. I don't know. Who knows for sure? All I do know is I gotta clean this area up so I can get to work. Make sure it's not gonna help induce any trash or debris or anything into the engine. Plus it just cleans the oil leaks from the old valve cover gasket. So that'll be done. When I take the valve cover off, I'll clean it. Everything will be perfect when I put it back together like brand new. I can actually smell gas from this. I wonder if this thing might be leaking a little bit. We're gonna have to check that really closely when we're done. I'm probably gonna disconnect it anyway to pull it out of my way. Then there's some Torx for the coils and 8mm on the valve cover bolts. I don't think this is too bad to do. Should be pretty easy. A couple of hoses. Got my fuel line out of the way already. These guys should pop off of here pretty easy. They're not too hard yet. A little bit hardened. Don't worry, they make a tool for that. All you need is a credit card and you can have every tool your heart desires. and credit card bills. I just watched a video the other day talking about Visa and MasterCard having a 55% profit margin on something they don't own. That's pretty funny. They lend you money they don't have and collect interest from you for buying stuff you can't afford. If they have a 55% profit margin, that means when you use your credit card, you're paying 55% more for everything. Unless you pay it off every month, you know, except for maybe a big purchase, you take a few months. That's just my little, I just watched the video, so it's fresh in my mind. I feel compelled to share it because you're my friend. So that's how we roll. That's how we do things around here. Look out for each other. 4 electrical plugs. Let's get a spark plug socket and put the spark plugs in before we even take the old valve cover off. I don't like to do the plugs while the valve cover's off, because then you're messing, you know, you're disturbing things, possibly introducing dirt and stuff into the top of the cylinder head. We want to do that. I can't pull this wire harness out of my way though.
So the Audi?
Yeah.
You approved all the work?
NGK Iridium. They're not factory. Okay. They don't look brand new though. But we're not terribly tight either. We're gonna put in the Denso Platinums, I believe these are. I want to use a power tool to start them. We'll go like this. Couple turns by hand. You can do it with a power tool. I've done it before. I don't like to do it making a video showing someone to do it. Let's put it that way. Because if you haven't been doing it a long time, and even if you have, you could do some damage. So you got to be careful. Always look at these electrodes, make sure they're not bent closed. They come gapped from the factory for the application, but you got to make sure everything's straight, there's no damage. Sometimes I'll wiggle a porcelain. If the box it comes in looks sketchy, I'll wiggle a porcelain and see if it's been cracked or something very gently. They're very fragile. So fragile that if you drop one, you probably shouldn't install it. Unless it's very easy to get to, because it'll probably misfire. Check those by hand. You gotta let the icon ratchet flex its muscle. I could do this with that electric ratchet too, but something about a hand ratchet, I just feel like I'm getting a better feel for what's going on. Alright, now it's gasket time. This thing's stuck on here pretty good. Hose removal tool seems to be pretty gentle on the head, even more so than a gasket scraper in my experience, but I don't break out that trick too often. This thing was really stuck on there pretty good. That's good to see. Tiny bit of oil won't hurt. These rubber O-ring gaskets, but you want to make sure there's no grit or anything on the surface. Get the old silicone off all the joints. Anywhere there is 2 pieces mating, you have to put a little RTV or silicone in there, just because the gasket may not fill the void enough. Matter of fact, it won't. Rumor has it if you forget, you'll have a comeback and have to redo it and put this RTV there. Let's scrape the old RTV away. I like these carbon scrapers, but you really have to be careful. Be patient. Don't press on the tool. Just let the sharp edges of the tool get that RTV out of your way. If you're not careful, this can do more damage than a razor blade would. But I think if you're careful, it does a better job. And this must be soft aluminum. That my hose removal tool put a little mark, but it's not on the gasket surface, luckily. Nothing that will be a factor. I don't want this to go in the engine if I can avoid it, because it ends up down in the oil pickup screen. A little bit of brake clean on a rag. We'll put the new gaskets in here first, then with a couple dabs of RTV, back on. Ridiculous. When I was just a little girl.
Great song.
That far off of regular snapping.
It's not. A lot of words are similar.
As much as that's a pain in the patootie, it does help hold the gasket in place while you're putting it back on. So it's not all bad. Now, these tips are terrible. They want you to just throw the whole tube out after you're done with one job, but I don't roll that way. I save it. Waste not, want not. Or even more correctly, waste not, don't waste. Something like that. If you don't waste it, it hasn't been wasted. That should be good. Squeeze a little more out so it'll plug that hole and not ruin the whole tube. Now, gotta make sure stuff's out of your way. Quite a few things going on in here, like this wiring harness for one. It's a little tedious starting all these by hand, but and they kind of hold it straight for you where you probably could use a power tool, but why take the risk? It pays 0.9, no point in rushing. All of our little bolts are started. Now as soon as I see this snugging, I'll go around. I don't want to tighten that and have everything else loose and risk cracking it or something. When they first started making plastic valve covers, it was a real big problem, but it's still a habit that I like to use. So I'll watch it. As soon as it starts moving down, go to another one. Another one. Center out. I'm gonna go 89 inch-pounds, and then I'm gonna go look up the spec. Might be 105. And I guess my little lock thing isn't holding them on anymore. Alright, torque spec's 90 inch-pounds. I wasn't far off. Some of these. Put these back on. Let's not forget our fuel line, which I have to double check that it's not leaking when we're down here. And make sure there's no wetness around that at all when we've got it running. Coils. You can torque these to 89 inch-pounds if you like to, but I'm going to use my torque angle wrist, to which I say click. 4 of these. Take one more look around, make sure everything's where it goes. Nothing got missed. Let's mount some tires on this thing. I'm not going to start it up just yet. Let the RTV set up and all that stuff. Mount some tires, then we'll fire it up. Let's see here. Pop the center cap out. Sometimes I pop them out on the machine over doing the tire. Sometimes I do it on the lift. Let's go mount a tire. sometimes it won't quite pull the whole bead out of the wheel. Got to touch it on the other side. Where's my valves? There it goes. I gotta put this in the tire scrap pile. Do, 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 do. It's like walking a dog. Perfect. If you care about what you're doing, you don't leave these on the tire. Just saying. Oh, that's messy. Someone put a little too much water in there. Probably me. This side faces in. It says outside on Talar. A very tiny print says outside. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that, you turkey. Wrong pedal, rookie. Wish that was the first time that ever happened. You're killing me, bro. Do it! Tighten up now. There you go. I knew it. Gonna have to edit that down, so I made it look like I did it perfectly. See what the post insert pressure is. 35 labs, that's what we want. This is mine, back in my pocket. Now I can release this. Now, I didn't peel any of the old weights off yet. Something in me makes me spin them before taking the weights off, just in case it zeros. Then I'll adjust the weights as I have to. Maybe that's why tires take so long for me. That's not bad at all. Let's see here. It's the old weights I looked at earlier. Now right in the middle. You turkeys. All right, let's take them off. Got this right here. Got my magic eraser for cleaning the wheel up. Got a brass bristle brush as well. Oh, it went up. Okay. I was hoping it would go closer to zero. It went further away. So having that weight on did actually help a little bit. 1 ounce on the inside, which I should say, 1 ounce on the outside. There's a lot. Oh man, this thing must have had some tires mounted on it. This is where I marked it. I got to clean inside that spoke in there. Lots of brake dust and stuff. This brush will clean off the brake dust and all, but it won't take the sticker material off very well. Got my rag I soaked in brake clean a little earlier. It's starting to dry out now. We'll see how the weights stick on there. 1 ounce. I'm not putting that big giant ugly one on there. Where does this go? There it is. These are 1/4 ounce. These are 1/4 ounce. Wonder why we have 2 styles. I don't know. Let's do this. Maybe I should have cut that. I like to give it a little love tap. And we'll spin it again before I put that 1/4 on the outside. Now it's another 1/4 on the inside now. What the heck? That's actually probably about where it's going to stay. It wants another 1/4 where I put that stuff. Alright, let's do it. I'm going all out on this car. We're going to go berserk to get zeros. I started doing these tires about 25 after 10. So we'll see how long it takes me for 4 tires. I'm getting old, you know. I got excuses. I used to do them really fast when I was a younger man, but you get a little older, you get arthritis, you get old tennis elbow, you got a bum knee. Basically falling apart. I feel like we're having a chat at the old folks home. I'm not giving up yet. Oh boy. Look at that. That's what we like. Double odd nothing. Now when I take this Jeep down the road, it'll be like driving a brand new Bentley. Bless you, Bill.
Thank you.
Appreciate you holding the impact gun for me, thanks. Three more just like that, and then we gotta do an alignment. Alright, wheels are all torqued. It's off the lift. 11:40 almost. So, hour and 15 minutes. It's not too bad. Jeep's on the rack. Heads are on. Compensation about to happen. We got a visit from a little tiny fruit fly. Let's it's in neutral so I can roll it forward. You guys been watching my videos, you know what I'm about to do. What they say in Kissimmee is a compensaciones or something like that. I'm just kidding, I don't know if they really say that, but that's what I say. Now I'm going to lock the brakes, sweep the caster, so we can check our axis inclination or axle inclination. It takes the camber, it knows that measurement already. It's waiting for me to sweep it and see how much the axle goes up and down. That's how it measures the caster, and it knows how the suspension is oriented. Install brake pedal depressor, steer the wheels as directed. They finally took out the part where it says or else. Yeah. Fast and Furious, bro. The beatings will continue until morale improves. One of those. One of those. And one of those. I don't think the alignment's going to be out too bad. Probably shouldn't say that kind of stuff, but the tire wear wasn't bad. But it's a good idea to do an alignment when you're buying tires. Just out a tiny bit in the left rear and the left front. We'll do the left rear. See what that does for the front. So there's a little tow bar in the back. We'll be good. We're going to go to graphs. We're going to go to next axle. Where'd it go? Sorry, it doesn't have it. Adjust rear toe. There you go. Nice big pickature for the old guy. Man, that's just... I could probably shake the car and it'll turn green. We're not going to do that though. Alright, we got some adjustability right here. Looks like a 15. It's probably an 18 on the other side. I think we'll be covered with those 2 mountain wrenches. Get this out of the way. There you go. Sets you in a safe spot. Remember what happened last time. Let's avoid all that. We don't want anyone going in the ambulance again. Lock bolt or lock nut. And then adjustment bolt. I think that's an 18 anyway. Could be a 19 just for fun sometimes. Yeah, look at that. Huh? They like to keep it interesting, keep you on your toes. Is this one an 18? Yeah, that one's an 18. But the one you adjust, that's a 19. Cool. I don't know what complaining about. It didn't take long to get it. Was that like a couple tenths of a second? It's a problem, Jimmy. That's towed out. I'm gonna go in. I didn't even stop to think about it for a second. I'm hungry, that's why. I need a Snickers. Oh, don't get too crazy. Barely bumped it and it went like 2/10 of a degree. You see the screen up there? I'll try to crop it in for you a little bit, but it's a little positive now. Put a little load on that so it doesn't adjust it. It's very sensitive. The cool part will be if we bring up the front axle and it made that green. Don't brag yet, because anything's possible, and my brain's just not thinking how that's going to work today. But normally I can look at one positive, one negative in the back and know when I move it how it's going to move the front. But I got brain freeze because it's cold today. You guys are going to see with me here. Next axle got worse. Just barely. But that's probably a 19 or a 21. 21 and I'm gonna say 13. Ooh, geez Louise. Like I said, 22 and a tie rod end tool from Snap-on. No hammering, no extensions. Made in the USA. Alright, let's see what we can do here to get this loose though. Okay, that's the problem. I want to turn this out. Uh-oh. This thing never had an alignment. I'm guessing. See if that nut will turn without turning a tie rod end. Oh, that's good. For some reason I thought it was going to be jammed on the tie rod end. Sometimes the lock nut will be jammed. You got to have to torch just to get it to move, but and it's weird too, it's not even only on cars that are rusty. It just happens randomly. I think on Toyotas a lot I see it. Let's go up here. A little print icon. You got a little picker at yours in case you ain't too smart. So it helps me a lot. Before and current. Or before and after, technically. Because when you click current, it's in the past. So, should be after. Now Mrs. Johnson can make her trip and feel safe on the road. I don't even know if the name of the person is Johnson, but that's what I chose. That's what we're going with. Tragedy, perfection. Everyone's safe. Speaking of safe, I was looking at my old videos from a couple of years ago, and I had one about electric cars being a fire hazard. It's only got 300 and something views. Kind of strange. I thought it would have had more views than that, so I changed the title a little bit this morning. We're going to try to get some clicks and views on that one. I thought it was a pretty good video. It's on the channel main page if you want to check it out. Okay guys, the Z, that might look familiar to you, doesn't it? We got it running, him and his friends put an engine in it and couldn't get it running. We checked a bunch of things, a little bit unnecessarily, but cause and effect. We got the immobilizer codes to clear the one day and it wouldn't start. The following morning when I came in, the codes were back and I started thinking more immobilizer than something else. So we had a locksmith come, do the key programming and got it working. The customer says sometimes it stalls. So he says, let's take a look at that. So we're going to see why the codes are there and what the check engine light is and what's going on with all that. With the DS300, of course. It won't automatic ID, so this one's going to have to be put in manually or Jimwelly. We're going to find Nissan N, LMN. There you go, that makes sense. I got the dongle in the car. That's one thing I like about wireless. I don't have to sit in the car if I don't feel like it. I did correct my time zone in the settings screen. Push this button and then tell it you want to adjust the time zone for where you're at. It was set to Africa, and we're not in Africa. That's why the time was off. Now, I wonder if it'll automatically search from here. No. Okay, so I'm going to do manually select North America, America. This is a 350Z, Z33, I suppose, 2003. Let's do a health report. We'll check all the modules and we'll see what kind of codes. I know the check engine light's on. It actually seems to be running pretty good, but I guess it stalls sometimes. These throttle bodies are very sensitive. It's possible with this air filter it could be dirt in the mass air or something like that, causing intermittent stalling. This aftermarket air intake stuff is, I'm not a fan. Some of you guys might know that. I might have said it once, maybe twice. But loud is generally fast, so that's why they're on there. But they do cause a lot of problems with mass airflow sensors getting debris. These filters don't filter well. If they are going to add power, it's because it's not filtering the air going into your daily driver, and you're just going to shorten the lifespan of your engine. Something to think about. And the same thing that does that is what makes the mass air get dirty. We can wiggle connections and stuff too, but we haven't seen what the codes are yet. So let's look at the codes and then we'll revisit that and see exactly what's going on with stalling. Usually cam, crank sensor, mass airflow in my experience, but maybe the DS300 will show us. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You can see how slow it's going. It's not the scanner, trust me. If you've seen it on those other cars, zoop, it goes right through. Hi. It's this old car. The older modules just don't work very quickly. So we're just going to give it some time to be patient. It's halfway. A lot of modules, when it can't talk to them, it won't give up. It'll keep trying, and it's called pinging a module. It'll ping a module and say, hey, are you there? Are you there? And it doesn't want to give up. And after it times out, it goes, okay, and it goes to the next one and does the same thing. And since this car doesn't have a lot of the modules it's looking for, it'll take a little while longer, but just be patient. It'll get through them all. It'll show you the ones in the end. This car might only have 5 or 6 modules to talk to, maybe 7. Although it's going to probably look at like 25. All right, we've got CAN circuits. We got intake valve timing control circuits, 11 and 21, bank 1 and bank 2. We've got ABS, a couple of codes for yaw and G-Sense circuit. We got air pressure monitor circuits for TPMS. That won't cause stalling. So this car has airbag, BCM, cluster or meter, TPMS, ABS, and ECM. So I'm going to send a report, make sure we got all these codes documented, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on with this thing. It's been running the whole time without stalling. It's possible if the crank sensor drops out, it's possible the cam sensors could drop out. The cam sensors generally are responsible for fuel trim and running the injectors. The crank sensor, that's basically going to let it start and have ignition and the spark and all the weight tells the computer it's turning. So sometimes when the crank sensor goes out, if it's already running, it'll keep it running on the cam sensors and set weird codes, but I'm not so sure yet, but we'll see. If you want some more information on these codes, I'm lucky being in a shop. I have all data, Identifix, and some other things, but if you don't, you click this little magnifying glass. It takes you online, and it'll help you figure things out. Instead of using your phone separately, you can use the scan tool to do internet searches and stuff. Cool feature. Good scan tools should all have this, so it's super cool that it has that. It's all more than one page too, so there's plenty of information you can find. Sometimes you can find wiring diagrams, all kinds of things, images, videos. It'll play videos with audio. It's not something I normally use. I tend to use our software, but it's good to know it's there. I hit clear codes, so it'll run through and clear all our codes for us. We'll see what comes back. Some codes cleared, some codes did not. That means these are hard faults. I'm going to hit it again just one more time just in case. I do have the engine running. Sometimes you'll need to shut the engine off with the key on. See if those codes will go away this time. If not, we'll try it with the engine off. ABS and ECM right back. Okay. Let's do this. Key on, engine off. Can't quite reach. T-Rex arms. They might not still clear, probably not, but I want to try it. Okay, they're still there. That's what's known as a hard fault. That means you're not clearing them until you fixed it. Sometimes there'll be codes that are called permanent codes, and the computer won't clear those until it has run some monitors and done some tests. Then it'll clear those codes. Till then, no scan tool on earth will clear them. If it says permanent code, that's what happens. She's been just purring like a kitten. Went and got something to eat. Still perfect. I'm going to bring up some graphs for the cam sensors and crank sensor. Let's see if that's under main signals. Let's go cam. Let's go crank. Nope. Okay. Let's go back. Back. All signals. I know it's under there. Cam. Okay, where's cam sensors at, Bill? Can't find them. Cooling, crank, wrap, flip. It's going to be called something different.
You're not going to get that kind of data on a cheap ass scanner like that.
That's right. This junk ain't going to do it.
My handheld, my code reader will be better than that.
What you need is one of them AutoZone code readers for $29.95. That'll do it.
No, I got a BlackBerry with more power than
A BlackBerry. Yeah, that is good stuff, man.
We were real popular for a minute.
ECM input signal. All right, let's try that. Engine speed, that's one. Isn't that interesting? No cam data. Because it's a tired old Nissan, that's probably why. Work support. Learning control, target idle. Idle air volume. Well, I want to see if the idle air volume was learned. Oh, you know what? This is going to be so I can do the idle air. I don't want to mess with any of that. I want to see what the customer's talking about before I attempt any of those kinds of things. Engine speed. Injector pulse bank 1 and 2. I'm going to combine them. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Alright, now we got graphing mode. We've got data PIDs still on the screen, showing you the colors, blue, purple, and orange, so you know which one's assigned to which. And we're going to let this run, and we'll be able to see if the engine does stall on me. And you can do this driving too, but you have to have someone help you to be safe. You could put it in memory and record it, and then you can drive, and if something happens you can save the recording and then review it. It'll save like 30 seconds before, I believe. Let's see here. Should have in settings, remote assistance, cast screen, screen recorder. Dunk. There you go. Back. I'll have to bring up the car again. I should have done this beforehand, I guess. Bring the car back up. We'll have the screen recorder here, and this is, I'm going to show you the graphing mode. You can go driving down the road. If you don't have a partner that can help you, or a friend that can help you go on a road test, you start feeling, you just reach over and touch that button. Then you pull over to the side of the road, and you should have a clip that you can look at and see what happened with the graphs. Alright, now I've got the 2 injector banks and the crank sensors, or engine speed. So the reason I'm doing this is because I don't have cam sensor data, but I know if I lose my cam sensor data, my injector pulse will drop off before the crank sensor. And it won't be by much. The engine might turn a second or two after the injectors turn off, so I'll know that those lines drop off before the blue one. And it's just a slight difference. I know I'm headed towards cam sensor style problems. And then if you want to record now, you just hit this button and it's recording. You see the timer's counting up. And then when I've decided I've got enough data, hit it again. Okay. Now I can go back in my settings, screen recorder, and I can watch that video anytime I want. I can show it to somebody up front to explain to them. Oop. Oh, the fan turned on. Okay. I saw some things jump around. That was the engine surge a little bit and the RPM drop because the alternator took a load from the fan, and then the computer brought the fuel injectors up to pick the engine speed back up, and that's this line right here. So now it's surging a little bit with the fan running. I've actually had cars where you disconnect the fan and it runs better. It's a pretty rare thing though. Something to keep in mind. This thing's running great right now. I'm wondering, because if you remember, I got this car running, it didn't run at all. And you have to relearn the throttle. And someone's changed the throttle body too. And that takes a little bit of driving and a little idling time. I'm wondering if that was what was happening to him, and now that it's learned the idle and all, it's run better. Very strange. Let me have them ask him how often this thing stalls. Did it stall a couple of times and that's it? So he drove it back in. I think he even has a tag on it now, unless he was driving it without a tag. Still no tag, so however far he drove it wasn't far, because he doesn't even have a tag on it. Before I go too crazy running around in circles, let me have them talk to the customer and find out exactly what he means by it stalls. You might remember they cut the hood because they put the spacer in there, and you can't put the brace on the strut towers anymore because it hits the... I don't understand it, but I'd rather have the shock tower brace on there for handling than that 1/2-inch spacer to increase the plenum volume myself. But you can't talk people out of stuff. They do what they want to do. If I want to check my files, I click this button. I really do like these separate buttons as well too, instead of just the touch screen, because a lot of these buttons are quick. So instead of going through the screens and pushing that, you can push home, push data, report. I can also move it with this cursor if I want. If I want to look at the reports I've sent so far with this tool, they're all right there. Anything I've saved as a PDF will be here as well. Screen recorder. There it is. That's my recording. You can watch that file playback. 10 seconds. And I believe it just stops. You can play it again. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You can delete it if you want to. I'm waiting to hear back. They're going to talk to the customer and figure out exactly how many times this thing stalled on them, exactly what the circumstances were, and then we'll come back to it. Those U codes, I was just looking into them while they're trying to get in touch with the customer, but those U codes that I've got, TCM and ECM, ground and power issues can cause problems, and you guys might remember there was no bolt in this, and I told them about it, but it hasn't been fixed. But that can cause all kinds of problems. I'm not sure, but it has to be fixed. I told him, let's clean up these contacts and put a new terminal on it. So we're going to see if he wants to do that when they get in touch with him. I got a Toyota Prius with some funny lights on the dash, and it doesn't work in hybrid mode, only gas motor. I think that's it right there. So we're going to pull that in next to take a look. Oh, the old 2015 Prius. This is actually a good customer's wife, I believe, if it's the car I'm thinking it is. Good guy. He was a super dude, super nice guy. He passed away from brain cancer. Between diagnosis and death was 7 weeks. He started losing his memory and thinking something was up, made a doctor's appointment. They thought he was getting early Alzheimer's. By the time they figured it out, he lived 2 weeks past that. Let's get this scan tool hooked up to this little Prius. I don't see any weird lights on. She said it doesn't work in hybrid mode. I drove it in hybrid mode, so dongle's in there, so we should be good. Let's see if there's any weird codes. Toyota, it's not an EV, it's a hybrid, so hopefully it doesn't go under EV category. Prius, others. Production date. Let's get going. Radar cruise, okay. Health report. Let's let this cook a minute. All right, we've got master cylinder pressure, stroke sensor current, wheel cylinder pressure sensor, front wheel sensor speed right hand, front wheel sensor left hand, power window switch of rear right side door malfunction history. No ECM codes, no hybrid codes, no TCM codes. Is it possible it temporarily doesn't let it go into hybrid mode because of these ABS codes? I'll save a report, I'll send it up front, then we're going to jump in this ABS and take a look at some data and see what that looks like. All of these diagnostic codes in the ABS say current. Let's jump in there. Data stream, hybrid system indicator. It's in hybrid mode right now because it's ignition on, but not just, it says ready on the dash, which means let's go. I can put it in gear and it'll go if it says ready. Even though you don't hear an engine running. When it wants to start the engine for whatever reason, for charging mostly, you'll hear the engine just kick on. It could happen at any time. Clear fault memory. Completed. Read fault code. No trouble codes. Let's go reverse. I just heard the engine turn on. Drive. Read fault codes. No trouble codes. So it's possible something's going on intermittently with the ABS. I say we take it for a little drive. We're on battery right now. The engine is not running, which kind of makes me sad when they say it doesn't do something and you get in it and it does something. Come on, keys, I don't need you. It's still all electric right now. I'm gonna go through our obstacle course back here. Go! He used to work here. He opened his own mobile repair shop business. He's a good dude too. Jordan's a good dude. He worked here for a while. He was our lube guy, and he did light mechanic work. And I worked with him a lot, taught him some things. Whenever we'd come across something weird, I would help him with it. And he started getting to be a real good mechanic. And then one day, he was getting rid pretty hard. You know, they had him working on like 5 cars at a time. And someone interrupted him to check the air in someone's tires or something silly like that. And he's just like, all right, I quit. And he walked out. And he opened his own repair business. So now he works half as hard for twice as much money. Very motivational. But I'm not doing mobile repair, so I thought about it. My days of working on jack stands and floor jacks are over. Park. Let's see if we got any more codes to stop flapping before we get in trouble. Read fault code. These cars are really bad for ABS modules. But we're not going to do those. Let's go like this. 1, 2, 3. I wonder if it'll let me pick 4 or more. 4 is it. I got my wheel speed sensors up. We're going to go for a drive again. I'm going to see if they're all working. You want all 4 colors to be moving around and doing their thing. They won't be at the same speed, because when you go around turns and stuff, things happen at different speeds, right? So far they're looking good. Trying to figure out what this guy's doing up here with his tow truck and trailer. Alright, we're gonna go around the building again, see if any sensors drop off or anything. Alright, ABS sensors are all working good right now. So the only light on the dash is the seatbelt warning light, because I'm not wearing my seatbelt. Read fault codes one more time. No codes. So whatever's happening is happening intermittent. So let me go talk to them. She's waiting in the waiting room. We're gonna see if she wants to leave it with us, or we want to do a shotgun job. Just kidding, I don't want to do that. Let me go talk to them, we'll come back. This 2017 Ford Expedition, 177,626 miles. Love rating a 6, maybe a 7, pretty close. Thing's in pretty good shape, 178,000 miles on it. Oh, something I wanted to mention too. I put an extension, since I had one from a different scanner. It's an OBD2 plug on both ends. Highly recommended, so you don't forget dongles as easy. Like if I drive this car out, my foot's in the dongle. So even better if you can face the light towards yourself so you can't miss it. It can get left in the car really easy otherwise. If you're a forgetful person, but even if you're not a forgetful person and you're in a rush, you're staying busy, that's when that kind of stuff gets forgotten. That's my piece of advice. If you do get one of these DS300 scan tools, get yourself an extension for the dongle. It does not come with one. So far, it's the only chink in the armor I've found. Oops, the tool button. Yeah, it doesn't really fit there well. Let's stick with what we had going. I believe it's a 2017. Customer's complaint is the heat's on and backing up, the steering gets hard sometimes. I believe this has electronic power steering, or electric power steering, has a big electric motor. And when it sees the steering angle sensor moving and it feels their steering effort, then the motor picks up and helps. So it feels like hydraulic steering, but it's really not. It's electric assist. Get the vehicle in here and we'll see if there's any codes. There's no lights on the dash. That doesn't mean there's no codes. 3.5 EcoBoost 2017. Yes, that's correct. Health report. See modern cars, how much faster it goes. 26%. We'll see how long it takes. This timer is actually telling you exactly how long it's been scanning. Well, that's going to make it awkward. The only code is data received from PCM A is invalid in the HVAC panel, and rear audio control module switch pack continuous memory DTC. That is not going to help with my high steering effort on this Ford Expedition. So what I'll do next after sending this report, the way I approach it is, it's not the first vehicle having that problem, I'm assuming. I'm going to go and look into bulletins for Ford, see if there's any recalls, service bulletins, things related to high steering effort or loss of power steering or anything along those lines. He says it only happens going backwards, but that's not as much of a concern just yet. So first we'll search for any loss of power steering or power steering problems, and then we'll go after the backing up part if there's something to do with that. Before I go up there, I've brought up some data in the power steering control module. Shows you up here where we're at, power steering control module. I brought up data, module supply voltage, degrees as far as internal temperature, motor angular position, and steering wheel angle. So when we turn the steering, we expect to see the steering wheel and the motor position mirror each other. The orange and yellow lines, or gold and orange, whatever you want to call it. So every time I turn the steering, you should see, I have to adjust that screen brightness when the camera's on. It looks great when you're not using the camera, but it's too bright for the camera. So right now, all of that stuff's working well. I wonder if it might be a problem first thing in the morning more so than all the time. But he says just backing up in reverse. That usually means first thing in the morning, right? So now I'm going to go inside and take a look for those bulletins and uncommon problems causing this issue. One thing I found in this Expedition, it needs work on the steering. No codes. Doesn't do it for me either. It's got a bad battery. So we're going to do the battery and then see how it is in the morning when it comes to backing out of the shop. See what happened with the steering then. This thing was nasty too. I'm soaking it in our battery clean stuff. I'm going to do 2 or 3 applications, get a little wire brush. I've already been wire brushing it. It was just covered, and I'm not sure what's going to be under there when we get it all cleaned off, but we'll see. This 8mm holds these little Fords down. Hopefully this case can be cleaned up and reused. It's actually a battery insulator. A little bit of the magic sauce. And a power tool. I probably didn't even need any magic sauce, but it worked. All that matters is it's out. Except the plastic block didn't come with it. There it is. Let's get this out of the way. Might need a bungee cord assistant. Negative's not hooked up, so we're good. Of course, the positive's not hooked up either. They're even gooder. They're even more gooder. Tool I rarely get out. But some of these Fords, you don't got a lot of options. It's like working on a Mercedes battery. Ugh. She's nasty. I'm going to take this out so it's easier to get the battery in place. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Alright, now this thing's tethered in place, which is interesting. I can try to leave it down here. See if we can work this 40-pound battery into place. I was just going to crush it, but it went in. I usually can't fit it all in one shot like that. As long as I can get this hole down in there, we're good. I'll start cleaning up these terminals a little better while they're off. There's a plastic guide down here that might help this go into place. I don't know. Probably being overly optimistic, thinking that Ford would look out for us like that, but maybe it goes in between the 2 plastic pieces. That's better. See these 2 plastic channels here and here? I can't see the hole because of the battery dress, battery skirt, battery whatever. It's actually holding the battery up. What you guys think you're doing, man? It's early. It's like 1:45. Nope. I keep playing with it, I'll get it. Listen here, man. Aha! Something happened. That is a lot of fun. Can't let all you Ford mechanics have all the fun. I want some for myself. Now I gotta put this handle under here somewhere just so it's out of the way for the Terminators. Terminal's in better shape than I thought it would be. That was the original battery. This car's 7 years old. It's very strange to me that this is all bundled up and messed up like it is, but if it goes like this, there you go. Perfect. No one would even know. Now we'll do the negative. Do, 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 do. What's funny too, for this scan tool, I got this extension cord for the dongle from a different brand company, but it matches their dongle exactly. That's pretty cool. Top-down extension on an Ansel scanner, matches perfectly. So we're done for today, guys. We're all closed up, as you can see. I got a couple more things to finish up on this expedition for tonight. I got to do the inspection still. I want to at least get that done and sent, so in the morning we can see how the steering works. So you got to make sure you tune in for that. But thanks for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed your company. Torque the like button on your way out if you are. Hope I see you in the next one more than anything, though, because you're awesome.